Hey yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Salamin, aka Saad. We have a pretty interesting topic to talk about today. I don't know, man. So here in the United States, we love to talk about how great our country is. Man, oh, we're the greatest country on earth. We do all these crazy good things. Oh, we're the greatest place on earth. We're the land of opportunity and everything, and then you see a situation like this. And it's mind-boggling to me that the greatest country on earth can't even like fathom something like this happening. Like, why are people not more mad about this? Why are people not doing something about this? How is this acceptable to American public? I have no idea, but if this was introduced in like half of the rest of the world, this would have just been blatantly unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would not have stood for this. So you probably have heard about the new round of stimulus bill that they haven't been talking about. It's been bounced around the government for a long time. They've been arguing about it for months, pretty much at this point with a pretty much no resolution, while families were starving. People were losing their jobs. People were facing evictions and going homeless. And things like that, evictions were suspended in some places, but not all over the country. So there was still a lot of crooked landlords and went now out their way. We're now evicting people. So, while people are facing, one of the biggest crises of their life, if not the biggest crisis of their life, just 10 years after another financial crisis in the United States, right? You know what? While all that's going on, they're arguing in Congress about all kind of different things, right? They're doing pretty much nothing. They're just basically along party lines or whatever. You know how but they just announced that a new stimulus bill has been passed through Congress and it's going to be president. And well, you guys will be getting a great check, and they're talking over this check up, man. They're talking about how helpful it is going to be. This is the check that's going to help the American public. This is going to be a check that will help Americans get back on their feet. It's going to stimulate the economy. We're going to do so much with this, man. Like, it's so impressive what we've done with this bill. So it was a $900 billion economic relief package, what they've called it. The Congress passed it, went through last week. It's pretty similar, I guess, to the first one that passed all the way back in March, but there are some quite significant differences, including the amount of money that will be issued to the average American. Now, in the first round, people got $1,200 in stimulus money, which, it could have been better, probably, but that honestly is just a lot of better than what you're getting now. Like, if you thought that was bad, you're gonna laugh at the offer now, but you're getting a check now for $600 stimulus per person. Okay, so if you've got a family of four, and you got four eligible people, they're $2,400 in stimulus, an economic relief for 9 months of economic hardship for the average American family. And I'm just confused on how Americans are not more mad about this situation. First and foremost, the fact that it took this long for this to even happen is pitiful. While this multi-millionaires politicians who are being paid by lobbyists to essentially extort the American public, I just gotta come out frankly and be honest with you. Like, it breaks my heart that to see like neighbors and other people like lose their jobs and have nothing but 600 to rely on and some unemployment benefit that will probably not extend, or if you get extended, you'll be lucky. But honestly, like, billionaires get so much so much tax break. They made so much money this year that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Mitch McConnell, he literally gave the politician, like, the politicians are so dirty. I don't care if they're Democratic or Republican. They are so dirty. They are in deep in filth. I can't believe that people are not mad and they're not lobbying against this horrific, like, government that doesn't protect people but protects the rich, the 1%. Now, I'm not going back, but I'll go back to what I've been saying. Lobbyists essentially extort the American public for the interest of corporate billionaires. While they were arguing along political lines on behalf of those lobbyists, people were not paying their rent. They were unable to feed their families. They were losing their jobs. They were unable to pay for Christmas They were scraping the bottom of the barrel. Millions of Americans fell into poverty over the last few months in the richest country that has ever existed on planet Earth. Okay, while these multimillionaires politicians, who they and their families didn't have to worry whatsoever, their families had nothing to worry about, because if they had to worry about their legs getting cut off, uh, okay, the coal company would send them a check, okay, or keep their lights on for him. If they just talked them up good for another 4 years, they didn't have to worry about that. Put you and your parents and your sister and your brother and your kids. You're the ones who had to worry about, hey, how are we gonna eat next week? Hey, grandma's dying of COVID. How are we going to pay for her medical bills? How is that going to work out? Oh, wait, we don't have money for that. Oh, we are going to pay for food. I do not know. It took until a few days before Christmas to pass a check into Americans' months of suffering. Okay, so the fact that it took this long is pathetic. Second off, the amount of money that they're given is insulting, to say the least. $600 is nothing in the United States. $600, if you take that to third world, maybe that works, okay? $600 is nothing in the United States. That's not even enough to help pay rent in the average cost of rent. And I looked this up as monthly apartment rent in the United States for September from 2016 to February 2020. When the pandemic started in February, okay? 1,463 on average. You're telling me a 600 one-time check after 9 months of people not having jobs, not having food on the table, not being able to pay rent is enough to help them? With that, to help them pay mortgages on their houses, to put food on the table for their children, to pay for education? That's pathetic. $1,200 realistically wasn't even really enough. It was something like to put on a wound, like a bandage, when a cut is too deep. I mean, it wasn't enough, but $600? I mean, in some markets in this country, major metropolitan areas, if you have a family of 4 or 5, $600 might be groceries for the month, but that doesn't include other bills. I mean, you can do the cost of living mathematics. I mean, just basing the monthly apartment rent and try to figure everything else out. See how much it would cost. You want to hear an insulting statistics? I'll break this down here for you real quick. Let's take that $600, okay? So they passed the first stimulus bill, went into law on what, March 27th, I think, when Trump signed it into the order. December 22nd will go ahead, and just around of its 9 months, even, okay, just to be safe, it's really not going to affect the outcome of anything we're doing here. 9 months, even 600 divided by 9, because that was the last time. That's how long we've had it in between stimulus. Here you basically were given by the federal government 66.67 cents per month for not having a job. I mean, are you serious? Not being able to pay your bills, for living through a hellhole of a global pandemic, for living through an economic crisis, for living through a global disaster. 67 cents? Like, if you want to round up per month in the richest country that's ever lived, 67, you're given a free copy of Cyberpunk 2077, okay? That's like what a value as an American wasn't to the federal government. Now let's break that number down even more, okay? Let's break that down to a daily number, okay? And see if you can live on this. Take that number and divide it by 30. We'll say that's how many days you're on month, okay? You're given by the federal government, which the stimulus, by their admission, is money that Americans needed to survive, money that Americans needed to pay their bills, money that Americans needed to feed themselves. You are given a whopping $2.22 per day throughout this time period to survive for per person in the United States of America. Should we expect a person to live, eat, pay their bills, pay for a car, pay for a home, pay for education, all these things for $2.22 per day? How realistic do you think that is? How ideal do you really believe that? I mean, could the federal government afford it? Absolutely. They could. Yeah, I mean, afford to have given Americans more money. As a matter of fact, I want to go ahead and break this down for you a while. I mean, why your government gave you 2.22 cents per day throughout this all to survive on. They gave $4.7 billion in foreign aid to countries like Israel. Egypt, Ukraine, Sudan, and many others, instead of putting Americans first, billions of dollars was funded into the hands of other countries is not our priority to take care of. Those countries, I understand that they're less fortunate countries and things like that, but at this point in time, Americans have starving. I mean, Americans are starving. They're going homeless. We need to be taking care of our people first. 5 billion in foreign aid while Americans are getting nothing. Not even half of it, of a rent payment. But that's not even in the matter of a fact that $1.4 billion was given to a military industrial complex to implement U.S. defense agendas in Asia. $2 billion was given to the U.S. Space Force. $1.4 billion was given for U.S. border wall with Mexico. Now, I would love for my government and for my representative to explain to me and to all the people watching this video why in February 2018 the Pentagon requested for the fiscal year of 2019 $686 billion for the defense budget of this country to fund into the military. You're telling me out of nearly $700 billion that's being funneled into our military every year, they couldn't give that $2 billion to the Space Force, out of which is now a military branch. They couldn't give $500 million to build a new border wall. They couldn't give a couple billion to build a new defense infrastructure in Asia out of the military budget. But instead, when we're in the midst of a pandemic that has destroyed the economy, is killing people, it literally is, that it's bankrupting families, and that is ending in any potential having a safe life and a good life for years to come. I mean, they get nothing from the government. They get no help, Americans, by getting nothing. I mean, Americans get nothing by government. As a matter of fact, not only have we been the most affected country by the pandemic on the planet because of our government inability to do anything concerning this virus. I mean, the when it comes down to the other effects, they failed us entirely. And that the fact that the more people are not standing up against this, I mean, is driving me crazy. Like this, and speaking out is ridiculous as it stands right now. I know a lot of you are younger. Okay, your parents, there is a good chance if you live in the United States are struggling to pay their bills. There is a good chance that your families are having a rough time. And it really, I do sympathize with you because that's gotta be harsh, okay? While that's happening to you and your families, and while your dad or your mom might be out of work or laid off or on unemployment, the government that is supposed to be there to help you for a better life and make sure everything is actively spinning in your family's face. So when you get old enough to vote, remember that when these old pieces of crap poodles in Washington want to get reelected, when these people who want absolutely nothing good for you and for people you live with, and for your families, when they want nothing good for you, remember that when you're old enough to vote, because trust me, they're not thinking about you when they sign this. The only thing they're thinking about is how they're going to affect their bottom line. How is it going to affect the lobbyist? How is it going to affect anything to do with their job? They do not care about anything that happens to any of us. We're not on the same level with these people. These people think they are out of our leagues. They think they're obsolete. I mean, the quicker the Americans realize that we need to start to change in this country, I mean for good, the better off this country will be. The fact is, the 600 is all that country is, the richest country that ever existed, could muster up for American people. Select people that's not even like every person in America is getting that money. It's basically people who made a certain level of income, who weren't claimed on taxes, who different guidelines, and they're the ones who get the fact that they even have anything absolutely pitiful. And it's gotten to the point where it's honestly hard for me as an American to say that that is the greatest country on earth. How could they do that? Can it be? How can this be the greatest country on earth or the richest country on earth? Can't even make sure that the people don't die. I mean, can't even make sure that it's people don't starve to death. Can't even make sure that people have adequate housing. Can't even make sure that they have adequate education. Can't even make sure that they have adequate, public transportation, infrastructure. I guess what we do, we have the best military in the world. That's what we have. I guess going into other countries and blowing them up is better than helping our American folks here. and fighting for their freedoms, while their bottom freedoms are, and our Constitution is on the line by these lobbyists in Congress and in the government. I mean, the world have the biggest for-profit healthcare system in the world, and you reap pretty much none of the benefits of that if you're an average American. That's all I wanted to say. This type of bullcrap really does piss me off. But that being said, thank you guys for watching. We hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm really glad for that. This is a big milestone in my YouTube channel. I hope you guys like and subscribe. There will be a lot of more content coming for you guys. And thank you for being here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at Subtopics. Make sure to check out down like below, and I mean, thank you guys to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Salamin, just stunned man, and signing out. And Happy New Year. Obviously, we're 2021. I mean, not yet for me, but we are. Happy New Year, guys.